All right. Once again, thank you guys so much for tuning in. I am joined with Jonathan Otto. How are you doing this
Doing
fine
good,
day?
Natalie. Yeah, doing great. Thank you, Natalie.
Awesome, awesome. So we are entering an age of alternative medicine, and we are trying to remediate, certain things we've seen in recent years, but maybe through more, I would say, natural therapies or something that's more ethical on our bodies. And you actually have a lot of knowledge on this. But first, let me actually open up for intros with my audience. Can you give them a little intro on who you are and, what kind of knowledge you're bringing to the table today?
Yeah. No, I'd love to. So I'm an investigative journalist. I graduated with a couple of different degrees that had that as the focal area, but my interest went and yeah, has a connection between humanitarian work with anti-human trafficking to global development, long-term sustainability, famine relief. I do a lot of work in like northern Africa and northern Kenya and so forth. But my biggest thing that I'm known for is tackling these degenerative health conditions because it was 11 years ago I produced a series called The Truth About Cancer. I was a producer on that, and we were able to tackle some of these major issues that a lot of people had really no solutions for. If you look at what's happening, everyone's had a loved one die from cancer. I really don't know of anyone that hasn't had someone that they care about die from cancer. And so I began getting quite prolific in that space. And on my platform, we've interviewed somewhere around 700 plus experts across the field. We've had a tremendous amount of success in helping people to turn around conditions. And so to this day, because of my interests and my understanding around the natural holistic medical side of things and my prolific research, I've been an advisor to top medical doctors and naturopathic and functional medicine practitioners around the world. Our resources that are seen by hundreds of millions of people, I use as training resources, and so I actually spent a lot of time helping doctors understand how best to treat their patients. So that's an honor to be involved and to be of assistance. So that's kind of a huge area of what I do.
Amazing. And we are seeing a lot of a big rise in chronic diseases, if you will, things like heart disease, diabetes, Alzheimer's, strokes. What exactly can remediate this? Any sort of red light therapies, or I see a red light behind you. Is that something that can remediate these chronic diseases?
It is. It's surprising that you wouldn't think that light could really do that much, but the clinical studies are very they're robust, and there's millions of search results you'll find in even Google Scholar on red light therapy for disease, and the mechanisms are well proven. The science goes way back to 1903 when the first Nobel Prize was won for light therapy reversing disease. In this case, Niels Finsen with lupus vulgaris, and today with the rise of LED technology, we could do so much with that, and like high quality, non-flickering LEDs, not like the ones in homes causing damage to people's eyesight and health. So let's say with cancer, with macular degeneration, with eyesight, with thyroid function, with gut digestive distress, we're seeing results across the board in the clinical studies. I'm seeing them firsthand, unlike anything I've ever seen before in my career. The results are faster, they're long lasting. It's all to do with the mitochondria, cellular energy. You could actually say that these diseases, one, they don't actually technically exist, which is the weird thing to
Mm,
understand because there's 75,000 different diagnoses. And you could say, well, obviously exists. Look at my dad and the dementia that he has, and look at my
right.
mom and the breast cancer that she has. Of course, this exists, Jonathan. Why would you say something so crazy? And I'd say, well, like there is no breast cancer gene, and there's no Alzheimer's gene, and there's no. These are not. They're not like genetic, like what people think, where their genetics are driving the disease. They can be there can be a genetic factor, but they're actually environmental factors that are causing them, and they're symptoms of a body not functioning properly and cells not functioning properly, and these then get given names, and then we get committed to the fact that people have certain conditions, but they really don't have the condition. They have issues with their cells not firing properly, and
Right.
we are seeing these conditions get turned around with red light therapy as one of the major examples, but arguably it would be the most regenerative therapy that we have today from all my research and from what I see firsthand.
And what exactly is red light therapy?
Mm. Well, it's electromagnetic waves. So this is like an electromagnetic waves or various frequencies. In this case, you've got 480, which is blue, and then you've got 630, 590 actually first, 630, 660, 670, 810, 830, 850, and 1060. So these are different wavelengths of light that are going into the body, and they're interfacing with different layers of the body. And then in these layers, what they're causing is the cells to go through respiration, which is actually cellular breathing. And so that's one aspect. They're hitting the mitochondria. The mitochondria then receive this light. They use this to produce a substance called ATP, adenosine triphosphate. This is now how cells generate energy and how they regenerate, and how they undergo every process related to cellular function, whether it's proliferating and uh, uh, stem cells and having the stem cells mature, whether it's apoptosis, which is when you're causing the body to generate reactive oxygen species that then go and kill cancer cells, which is well documented, and that's the mechanism. Whether it's causing the cells to detoxify themselves and detoxify the body, and so they could do that when they have energy innately without binders, without uh, zeolite or humic or fulvic acid or chelators or different things. So the cells will do this naturally when they're stimulated. And here's a really cool one: they'll cause like for example, thyroid cells. They'll cause the thyroid cells to produce thyroid hormones. And it's because the cells do it, not the light, but the light causes the cells to have energy. And when the cells have energy, they produce all of these uh, important things, whether it's hormones or neurotransmitters, serotonin. Your cells then undergo all these processes. And like there was a study that came out of Birmingham University where they put red light over in this case, it was rats for just a single minute, and they found that it increased cell viability by 45%.
Wow.
And it was a spinal cord injury study, and they found that it was regenerative of the spine and neuroprotective. So huge, needle moving improvements in short periods of time. The eyesight studies were fascinating, where they got scientists then said, well, let's see what happens if we put people in red light for 3 minutes with their eyes open, and
Mhm.
let's test their eyesight. And you know what the improvement was immediately? 17% eyesight improvement.
Oh, wow.
And this is for people with myopia, with damaged eyesight. So their their color contrast vision, all these different markers, the sharpness, all improved by 17% after one single session. If people were younger, it was 47% in short periods of time, very short. So I'm not talking about long studies like the levothyroxine study, which is Synthroid for women and men as well, but especially women taking the thyroid medications. It would be awesome to get off that and have your thyroid naturally produce LT4. But you look, there's no options. The thyroid's degrading. You've got to do what you got to do. So there's a study where they put them on it for 5 weeks, so twice a week. So it was only 10 sessions. Then tested them 9 months later. Now
Sure.
what was they took them off it. They were only on it for 5 weeks. They tested them 9 months later.
Wow.
Everyone had reduced their need to take levothyroxine, and 47% of them didn't need any levothyroxine at all.
That's amazing. That's amazing.
Yeah.
So why would there be a need, especially in this day and age, for a more non-invasive, cost-effective healing, method like red light?
Sure. Well, toxins are at an all-time high. Glyphosate is destroying mitochondrial function,
Okay.
and then creating metabolic diseases like cancer. And that's why there's $11 billion in lawsuits against Monsanto that have been won, 150,000 cases,
Right.
several of those pending, most of those being won against Monsanto. That's a that's a synthetic animal venom. They had the patents for synthetic animal venoms before they created glyphosate. And these destroy mitochondria, they destroy microbiome, uh, gut flora that's needed for all the conversion of taking your food and making it into something that works for your body and causing it to get used for neurotransmitters, and hence why people with a destruction of their gut flora and mitochondrial damage will experience depression and anxiety and all these things. And so then you put red light over them, test them an hour later in clinical studies, and find that their depression markers have improved even within a single hour. Then the second hour, it's even a greater improvement. It's continuing to be active in the body. There's so many reasons for this. What about the breast cancer studies where they took a triple negative and non-triple negative breast tumor cell lines, breast cancer origin cell lines, and then irradiated them with four different types of red light. In this case, it was 615, 630, 660, and 730. 660, the one one of the four was able to drop the proliferation of the breast tumor by 40% in 24 hours in an in vitro study, human cell lines in a petri dish. Um, these the toxins that people are getting in their body, it's just so hard to get them out. That's the real reality. And we're kind of guessing when we do lab work. We're guessing at which lab tests are run. We're guessing at what supplements we're prescribing. We're guessing that the body can even absorb it at all.
Right.
Guess what red light does? It doesn't need to go through the digestive system. It's just shooting straight into the cells. You're bypassing all the issues that commonly cause treatments to fail, and you're getting light straight into the cells, and they receive light better than anything else. And guess what? Your body's translucent for a reason. So your skin is translucent. The
Right.
light will go in and be received by the body. And even if you have red light over one part of the body, it will go throughout the body. That's one of the other cool factors to it as well. So people will see improvements in all kinds of things by even using simple devices like a red light therapy belt. You can strap
Interesting.
these types of devices on, and you would think that this would maybe just be good for back pain, which it is really
Right.
good for back pain. It is really good for slimming the belly. All the thyroid studies on light show that the ones that I've read, the best ones that measure this factor, they will explain specifically that the body has improved dramatically. This hip to waist circumference, these measurements that are showing that people are losing weight, and it's to do with water retention and toxicity and inflammation. If you can deal with that through
Right.
light, then you can get a turnaround. But anyway, so you even with something like this, instead of it just maybe just working for that one area, people are seeing improvements in their mood. They're seeing improvements with depression, with anxiety, with chronic fatigue syndrome, with neuropathy. I've seen people use just a simple device like this, and then red light therapy panels like the ones behind me. These are used for everything because you can get all your organs in.
Right.
How much are we censored here as well? There's certain things I need to make sure I don't say, right?
I tend to just be careful. No,
Yeah.
but it's ambiguous, so nobody really knows on YouTube.
Oh, that's
Go ahead.
awesome. Yeah, exactly. So what I do is I can say everything, but
Right.
I can just also speak in code language, and then that way people can just read between the lines, and that's the best way to get around it. But there's a blockbuster study that was on the long COVID,
Mm.
right? So, and this was 62 participants. In after 2 sessions, then and in 3 days, they all go into remission of all acute symptoms. So none of them have the acute symptoms. They were doing whole body, all organ. And that's the reason why you look at something like this and you say, okay, look, I'm getting all my organs at the same time. It's
Right.
such a valuable thing. You've got mitochondria. They're not in your red blood cells. They're in your organ cells.
Mhm.
And so after the 4 sessions, all of them get better of all symptoms. So it's a complete remission of all symptoms. And these were, and of the 62, 60 of those achieved that within a single week.
Wow.
Within a single week. The other two get better in the next couple of weeks. But
Right.
then these were oxygen levels above 97% without supplementation. It was brain fog was remediated, executive function, memory recall, emotional deficits, digestive issues, dyspnea. Those were all the categories. They all went into complete remission. And then 17 out of 17 family members were protected from I'll just use a term so it doesn't, get us in trouble, but
Sure.
from the effects of being in proximity and the toxicity that people get from being in proximity to have these things. And
Right.
long, that condition can be and often is caused by the interventions that happened over the last 4 years and things that got into people's bodies. And so a lot of people are gaining back hope, and loved ones that they maybe aren't even fully on board, but you might have those parents that felt like they did what they needed to do. You don't even have to have an argument with them about, whether what they did was right or wrong with the
Right.
procedures that they've taken. But if you get them in front of a light, you could actually save them and save their health, and because you can get that out of the body through the mitochondria.
And see, this makes sense because I like what you touched on earlier. Our skin is translucent. Things like jaundice can be remediated with sunlight, right? Vitamin D. And something like this, it has a lot more benefits for all of the, rises in all of these types of diseases. So it sounds like this is something that can be incorporated with a lifestyle. And in fact, it's more preferred because, like you began, we are seeing a rise in all of the toxins, and those are going to be things that are oncoming within our lives. Am I maybe assuming that correctly?
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Cancer rates are 1 in 2 for males at the moment, 1 in 3 for females getting cancer in your lifetime. Those numbers, based on various projections, and you just have to look at also doubling and how that happens over time. So 100 years ago, it would be maybe something like 3 in 100, and so now at the number that we're at, so at what point would that get to 100%? And so, everyone getting cancer in their lifetime, and the projections are around by 2030 in 5 years. That these are
Wow.
really scary numbers, and I just sit here thinking, man, I don't have much time to kind of get the word out. And I just feel like, look, everyone that we get an opportunity to connect with, the people that are awake, that are watching shows like yours, Natalie, are blessed and fortunate. And we have a responsibility then to help others with this information. Because, one red light therapy device could be used by a whole family and could be
Right.
used by an entire neighborhood, really. And you could actually, let your neighbors know that you have a way to help them and let them come and use your device. And these are 50,000 rated lifespan hours, which is talking about many decades, over a century, even with a whole family using it. If
Right.
you do the numbers on 50,000 hours, because only 30 minutes a day, if that, you don't have to do that much. Some of these studies I just mentioned could be even an hour and a half, but per day for an acute situation for a time. But 12 minutes 3 times a week. You just the thyroid study I mentioned was, I believe it was 20 minutes, but it's only twice a week for 5 weeks, and then they're off it. And then 47% of them don't even need Synthroid or levothyroxine anymore. So it's a very, very cost effective thing to do, because often, like with anything, if you share a therapy but it's out of reach for the people that are hearing that message,
Right.
then you really didn't do them a service at all. You kind of maybe did a disservice. And there's a reason why I knew quite a lot about stem cells, but I never really bothered to talk a lot about it, because I knew that most people couldn't afford $20,000 for stem cells.
Right.
And that if you might need several, you might need to do that every year. Not everyone has that budget. Not many people have that budget, ratio wise. Um, but this is something that everyone can afford, because, like, if I took like the cheapest supplement bottle here, let's say this supplement bottle costs me $20.
Hmm.
Let's, would which is more expensive, this or this full body panel? And the answer is that the supplement bottle is more expensive.
Right. Over
Why?
time.
Yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
After 10 years, well, after a year, there'd be $240. After 10 years, $2,500. If I've got a family of four, which I do, and everyone needs to be using this, then that's $10,000. That's just 10 years. That's just 10 years. What about the next 30 years? Times that by three now. Now you're at $30,000 for something that really couldn't do that much. A single supplement bottle can't do that much for you. Whereas look at what something like this could do for you, and it's just is night and day. And so then look at what you're spending a day over the course of time. You realize, man, this costs nothing. I need to do this.
Right.
And we also do payment plans as well. So people can like break that up over 6 months, 12 months, 24 months, and just be paying that 10, 20, 50, $60, whatever it is over that time period.
And that's how much they would be paying in supplements anyway.
Exactly.
So Where can my audience find this, and where can they learn more?
Yeah, absolutely. So myredlight.com, go there and you'll probably have the link in the description so people
Yep.
can check that out there. And so myredlight.com, and when you go there you'll see different options like the panels that are there or the belts, or you'll see different gifts that we've bundled in together as bonuses, and even a supplement protocol, because they work together, because
Mhm.
you actually can activate the supplements in your body by activating them with light, and that makes them much more effective. So you'll get way better results. Like people in learning about ivermectin and fenbendazole, but
Right.
it once you understand light therapies, you would not do an anti-parasitic protocol without light. You would do it together. It's so much more effective based on the clinical studies. And same goes with everything, anything you're taking, whether it's probiotics, CoQ10, curcumin is activated by light, and so so you could get those supplement bundles as free gifts from us, because we just there to really make this work for people.
Right.
You've got like devices like with a stands, like this is an example, and this stand lays horizontal as well, so you can
Okay.
make this so you can lie down underneath it. Very like relaxing to do that, or you can stand up and do it however you wish. It's that simple. When people are checking out as well, if they use the code NATLY, which is NATLY, NATLY,
Cool.
and that will get them an additional 10% off. Or when you see the price on the page, that's activated with that code.
Right.
Really, really great one there. And I think those are some of the key things to think about, and people should get started with whatever they can get a hold of, and make an investment in themselves. You've got a 3-year warranty on these panels, 1 year warranty on the small devices, and then you've got as well a 50,000 rated lifespan hours, like I mentioned before, and a 60-day money back guarantee. So you could try it out for 60 days and see what benefit you get, and then you make your decision there, like risk free as a trial in your home. If you like, do you mind if I share a couple extra things on the light wavelengths and how they work?
Absolutely.
When people are looking at wavelengths, then this helps people understand how it works, right? So here's different wavelengths, and this is why they'll work for different conditions. So 480 is going to get through the epidermis, it's going to get close to the dermis. 590, just just touching through there. 630, 660, 670, they're all coming around that subcutaneous tissue area. And then 810, the near infrared, you can't see it with the unaided eye. It's invisible, and it's there getting through to the muscle, closer toward the bone here. 850 is hitting the bone and the interior tissues. These are all, and the 1060 as well is getting through. These are important, because then you'd see, okay, well, certain wavelengths work for certain conditions. The eyesight one that I shared was 670. That was proven to do that. It doesn't mean that others don't. And then the near infrared is also effective, but it's just so it's kind of like, for me, all the research I've done is to use them all at the same time. 660 was the one that dropped the breast cancer by 40% in 24 hours. Then you had 630, that was there's a great lymphoma study on that. And I mean, the tinnitus and this kind of mysterious earring issue, these are often in the 810s, 850s, 830s. Anything brain related, lung, bone, all in these upper 800s. But these wavelengths have been proven to aid in weight loss, fat burning, cellulite reduction. Certain ones proven, others either the study exists and it didn't score, or the study hasn't been done in that particular wavelength for that condition. But it's good to know, because in that way you go with data, and that okay, well, this has already been proven, and yeah, this probably is helpful with this condition. But at least I know these ones for sure have been studied to do this: anti-aging, acne, scars, rosacea, hair growth, sun damage, wrinkles and fine lines, droopy eyelids, under eye circles, broken capillaries. These are all very cosmetic, but they're also related to organ function. And so you're improving organ function, and then your face ends up looking like you've done some good things to your body. Pain relief, wound healing, injury healing, oral health, muscle building, athletic performance, post recovery workout, mental stamina, cognitive performance, asthma, depression, anxiety, tinnitus, arthritis, multiple sclerosis, stem cell regeneration, which is there's the expensive therapy right there. Red light will I've seen it so many times outperform stem cell therapy. Um, yeah, because it makes sense. Like you've got stem cells in your body, you
Right.
need to mature the ones that you have. It's just like a farm. If you had seeds in your farm
Right.
and it wasn't growing, would you just keep throwing more on? That would be like giving your body more stem cells. That like it might work, but it's often the reason why the seeds aren't growing because it doesn't have sunlight, it doesn't have fertilizer, it doesn't have water. And so if you give it all those things, then those stem cells will thrive and or these seeds will thrive. And the same is true with stem cells. Red light therapy is proven for stem cell regeneration as well as mitochondria regeneration. And stem cells and mitochondria are deeply connected. It's called the mitochondrial stem cell connection. So you're fueling that growth, and that's one of the keys in healing Parkinson's disease, hypertension, liver function, breast cancer, fertility and sperm mobility, herpes, cold sores, genital and other simplexes, eye health, acne, circadian rhythm regulation, skin rejuvenation, wound healing and autophagy, hyperpigmentation. These are that's 590 now. The other ones you can see the wavelengths, stimulates collagen production, improves skin texture, reduces inflammation, promotes circulation, wound healing, autophagy. So it's doing all these things. So like, and one of the things there as well, Natalie, is that
Wow.
like then what do? Yeah, so you learn that and you're like, oh wow, okay, well I want to use these wavelengths. And so guess what we did with our devices? We put all nine wavelengths in this device. All the ones that you just read about, we put all nine.
That's amazing. And I love that the studies back this science, that this is
Yeah.
proven.
Oh yeah, like if it wasn't, I would say, hey, look, this could work, and let's be pioneers. And I'd just say, everyone, let's do that. But no, the jury, this has been done, and at this point, you haven't seen the real life proof on that. And again, with the things to look for with devices, you want to look for. And here's a good example. This was just 2 days. This
Oh
is
my
on
goodness.
PubMed. If anyone's familiar with PubMed, this was the you could see the condition there, but it's causing a conjunctiva, a mucous membrane inflammation. And so within 2 sessions, this gentleman who's a very abiding citizen, as you can see here with his
Right.
mask on. But he's which may be part of the reason why this problem happened to him. We won't talk too much about that. But these are like PubMed studies. Is the traumatic brain injury. Say they had better sleep, fewer symptoms of PTSD. They had significant improvements in executive function and memory tests. This was only 6 weeks of light therapy 3 times a week, and they were only 10-minute sessions. And these were even 62-year-olds as low as and as young as 26. And so then have a look at, you know, this was published in the British Medical Journal. This girl, she had a stroke when this is the mother, this little girl here, Leah, she had a stroke when she was born. And now here she is 9 years old. After 3 months of red light therapy, she's regained all social abilities. Well, she never had them actually. So she's got social abilities. And here's the president there. Here's what they published in the British Medical Journal. She used to get bullied. She's thriving social life now. She describes herself as normal in that video and says, I was bullied because I was different. Now I can do everything now, and her test scores are normal now, like a child that never had that happen to them. And so as a mother, you would well, sorry, you would know how you would know everyone who loves children knows how precious it is to have a child gain every ability to have the best life possible.
Right.
Um, because these are photosensitizers, so you can activate the light in the body. So when you're doing light therapies, you can use these, and they'll help activate the light. There are examples, but like there's the studies here on, if you look at there's crow's feet after 84 days, so big improvements. So people would do this for aesthetic reasons, and people do this for organ regeneration reasons. The hair loss, 83% of the participants reported satisfaction with their hair growth results, and this was 24 men. This was 14 weeks. So I'm not even talking about people doing this for like 6 months, a year. Imagine what would happen if you did this for 5 years, which I'm
Right.
saying, like, have a light in your home and do it for the rest of your life and look forward to the most amazing future. And these were the studies done on glioblastomas, preventing glioblastomas from growing back. This is for melanomas. This was for lymphoma. Here's the before and afters in PubMed with red light therapy. You've got here a 60 to 90% effectiveness rate with lymphoma. This study here in PubMed shows that all the treated patients had complete remission. This was 3 patients in a pilot study. They were defined as a clinical and histologic complete absence of cutaneous B-cell lymphoma after a maximum of 2 photodynamic therapy sessions at a 1-week interval. It's like you can't even believe this stuff if I didn't show you direct studies, which you could look up the keywords, find all the studies yourself. These studies are real. There was the breast cancer drop. That was the 40% reduction of cell viability after 24 hours post-exposure using the wavelengths listed there. 660 was the one that worked. Lung cancer, 87%. Overall response rate, and so it's proved to be effective in unresectable lung cancer, meaning that you can't perform surgery on it, and so it's giving people hope and a treatment that they can use even if they don't have any other options. Bone cancer, could you believe that red light therapy is getting used for bone cancer? And yes, it is. It's effective. Prostate cancer. This was published in the Lancet Oncology. 49% of them go into complete remission. 13.5% in the control group. So 400% increase in the likelihood of putting your cancer in remission if you use red light in combination with the other therapies. In this case, this was 413 participants, and this was a European study. So it was a large study, and it was a 2-year study, so very effective. And the reason why that result, should have been higher to me, if they combined other therapies and they use less toxic therapies, they would get better results from my personal research and what I think from everything I've seen. So these give you some real clues into that. And the last ones I'll show you there is on the thyroid disease. I mentioned here about the 9-month follow-up here, and you can see that 47% of the all because they need no LT4 at all during a 9-month follow-up, but then all of them had a reduced dosage of LT4, and so that's the levothyroxine, and then you can see here as well, like this one was that they only put them in this case on the red light therapy for twice a week for 3 weeks, and then after 3 and 6 months. So they took them off it, but even still, they had lower levels of thyroid stimulating hormone. Thyroid antibodies were low, and they needed less LT4. They saw improvements in body measurements like body mass index, waist to hip ratio, hip to waist circumference. And so these just like there's other studies there showing that even if you're harmed by radiation, it's causing regrowth there. It's useful in treating thyroid problems like hypothyroidism caused by radiation. And so, people have got these issues, and it's helping to restore cell growth and activity in thyroid cells after they're harmed by radiation. That's PBM, which is photobiomodulation, which is light therapy. So it's pretty awesome. Hey, Natalie.
Yeah, and I love that my audience can actually go research this on their own. I love that they can take these keywords, they can plug it in their own search engine, and they can look it up on their own. So I love that it's study backed and that there's a lot of evidence to prove that this red light therapy is working for people.
You got it. You got it. Game changer. And then when you're choosing devices, look for something that has the irradiance. Irradiance is the amount of power delivered, the amount of milliwatts per centimeter squared. So at 3 inches, this is going to deliver 205 milliwatts per centimeter squared. So that's the highest you can find, but it's completely safe. Hence why it's FDA class 2 certified. So completely safe. This is cast iron. This is not plastic. This is like I will, break my hand if I punch this thing. So hence why it lasts so long, and everything's customizable. So you can, take, your settings, and you can control every wavelength if you wanted to. That being said, you don't have to. You can, take wavelengths in and out by adjusting them. They're dual LEDs as well. So every LED has both red and near infrared, more or less, because there's 2 different frequencies coming out of the same light bulb. So dual LEDs, high radiance, 9 wavelengths, and the other thing is 0 EMFs. So there's no EMFs coming out of the devices, and people could say anything they like, but it's better to test it yourself and use a meter. And then so just turn it on, and I'll put this over my computer. It's got a 10 reading there. It's 0. So no toxic
It's
exposure. So you're not doing
amazing.
any harm. Yeah. So I'm just so excited to bring these therapies to people and like they're so popular. So like we like a lot of the leaders in the truther movement are using our devices. A lot of clinics are using our devices because they're medical grade. And so, just keep that in mind. So grab them while they're available because we've become one of the most popular companies in the country. And so that's one of the risks that we face. So hence why it's, like we have stock, we have inventory. People should get a device, try it out, let it change their life, and you'd kind of be in for a treat of their life. That's what you should do right now. And you can do that at myredlight.com. Again, at checkout, use the code Natalie and you can get a 10% discount. So thanks so much.
Yeah, no, this is amazing. And I will encourage my audience to please click the link in my description below. And you can use, like he said, my code, NATLY, so you could get some money off. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate all of this really useful information. And I'm really excited for people for using this red light therapy.
Thank you so much. I was on a call 2 days ago with Flyover Conservatives, David and Stacey Whited, and they said of all the guests we've ever had on our shows, and they've got all the famous doctors on,
Right,
we get the most. And they said this on air, and these guys are truthers, right? So you don't get them
right,
just like being cheeseball and saying whatever they
right.
say just to kind of shill something. They don't do that. They don't, they're not that kind of people. I'm not either. So they said that we have had the most overwhelming response from you and from the products of these red light products. We have had the most shocking before and afters, and people writing into them. And so the same thing I believe, well, I know will happen for you, for anyone that follows up with this and then writes into you and lets you know, because and then their children come on, like Avery, she's just getting married and she's had digestive issues and menstrual issues, and she was using a belt and a panel, and she was able to turn those around. She doesn't have those issues anymore. And then they had some other injuries that they had turned around with it that were pretty severe, and so they were just so excited. And these are the things that really kind of light me up, because we could really support each other in these times that we're living in, because we really can't do this work that we're doing, the great work you're doing, Natalie. You can't do it unless you have your health. So we need to do everything we can to change our lives and make our lives better. So thanks again.
That's right. Thank you so much. And so again, guys, I will put the link and the description in the description with the code. Thank you so much, Jonathan. I really appreciate your time.
Thanks, Natalie.